Hi, everybody. We are at episode 12. I kind of can't believe that. Um, of reading my book, The Oat Project. I should say, I need to get into the habit of saying my first book, um, of reading my book, The Oat Project, out loud here every night, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. And yeah, I can't quite believe I've been reading as long as I have, that it's been almost 2 weeks. So thank you so much for joining me here. I was talking with, just on Facebook, I was talking with a friend of mine, and he said something about sowing his wild oats. And I was like, hey, I'm working on a workbook for this, and I would love your input. And he said, oh my God, that makes me think of goals and like having to do stuff. And immediately I was struck by the fact that since doing the project, and even in the middle of it, I knew that this isn't really how we're supposed to sow our wild oats, Like maybe it's a biological imperative that we're supposed to do it when we're young and 15 or 17 or whatever, when we think it's safe to risk, and it probably is safer to risk. I'm not a sociologist or a psychologist, and so I'm sure there's some good research out there about this. But what I told him is what I tell you, and that is that if you have to do it when you're closer to my age and like you missed doing a bunch of stuff that you really do want to do, I'm here for you. So, and I'm working on that. So don't do it the way I did, but and even doing it later, I guess I would encourage everybody to just do what you want. Your life is worth itself, and you're going to hear a lot more about that concept. And that means that as long as you're not hurting anybody, go dancing. I'm getting I'm kind of in a rut with my tea with molasses thing. As I've told others, if you're here for the first time, I'm kind of suck at being wild because I don't really drink a whole lot because it just doesn't agree with me. So Earl Grey tea with molasses. So yeah, so do what you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. I usually wait about 3 or 4 minutes before starting. Welcome again. And hi, Al. I will. I need to get you together with my family out there. But yeah, we're halfway through the book, and I guess I'll tell you a couple of things. So one, when I say parentheses, it means that I'm commenting or adding context from a current standpoint. So from 2016 when I published the book, not from 2007 when I did the book. And so it's words that come with a little bit more experience and thought. Yesterday I was talking with a coworker, and I said this last night. I've just been really appalled at some of my thought patterns and some of the things that I believed, my perspectives on things I didn't know. I didn't know how to talk about people, or I don't know, just a lot of stuff. And last night as I was going to sleep, I was sort of reeling through that. And I thought, in this workbook, I think I'm going to use what I did wrong as examples as well. So it's not going to be like, I did this all right, so you should do it this way. It's not going to be like that. So parentheses, and there's one more thing, but I can't remember. So we're just going to get into the words, okay? Thanks again. All right. I'm not quite to where I need like reading glasses. Maybe. Chapter 13. Show me the glitter. Dragged. My youngest brother needed a Halloween costume for his junior high party. In my high school, this was in Texas. Excuse me. Why? Maybe my tea makes me burp. Sorry. My youngest brother needed a Halloween costume for his junior high party. In my high school, all the cool guys were dressing in drag, so I thought my brother would be the coolest if he went dressed as a girl. His thick blonde hair curled and feathered perfectly. Makeup made his already beautiful face feminine and sparkly. I stuffed a bra for him, and he tottered in my mom's high heels, making his butt and athletic legs look better in my miniskirt than mine ever did. He looked amazing. Until his friend's mom asked, "Who's that cute girl?" Apparently, the cool factor had not yet trickled down to junior high. My brother hated me for a long while for that. Fast forward 30 years to when my middle son decided to be a, quote, cross-dressing robot for Halloween. He is often assumed to be a girl because of his tawny good looks and long hair, but Persian pigtails and drag queen-worthy hot pink makeup was a sight to behold. All the parents at his school clapped him on the back, chortling, saying, "Best costume ever. You go." Facing all the pretty people. Never could I have imagined my life would include going to a gay bar in Colorado Springs. Gay was sin. Bars were sin. Both hosted unrepentant sinners. Even though I'm out of the church, I still wonder what the hell I'm doing. If I no longer see homosexuality as a sin, is my soul blackening? That was the other thing to tell you. You'll hear me switch to first person quite a lot. In the book, it's italics. So it's inner thought while I'm doing the things. Okay? I searched on the internet because I did not think I knew anyone who'd know about gay bars. Parentheses. I was wrong. The Club Q website was slick and sparkly, with photos of hundreds of beautiful, happy people in a dancing frenzy. Fun. Come see Colorado Springs' only glitter show, the site proclaimed. This special event meant lots of crowd in which to lose myself, hide, while dancing. On the one hand, I wanted to dance again so much. On the other, looking at the photos made me tired. I must face all those pretty people and pretend to be as cool as a cucumber instead of nervous as hell. Nervous as hell in hell. I sat in the car waiting on Arissa, feeling ridiculous. I wished for the cojones to go in by myself. Arissa was running late, so I watched people for half an hour while listening to 311 again, excited to hear them live at Red Rocks in a few days. Their music always helped. I was sick of having to recover from, quote, having a drink for this project's tasks. My skin was broken out. My head felt muzzy. I was even cramping on my period. It felt like I took one step forward and 3 back every weekend when I had a drink. I'd almost skipped this task, but Arissa came through and wanted to go with me. As I waited, I watched only men going in and out of a side door. Do people drink to relax before they get here? I felt a little conspicuous writing here, even in my car, not wanting anyone to mistake me for a journalist. It had been over 10 years since the Supreme Court had ruled Amendment 2 unconstitutional, but the 4 years between its passing in 1992 and repeal exacerbated a long cycle of enmity and suspicion, socially and politically, in Colorado Springs. Journal. Dear Lord, please help me. I'm actually praying to God for help with going into a gay bar. I don't need help because it's a gay bar, but because I'm so tired and because it's a gay bar. At home, I ate shrimp, a turkey pastrami Reuben, mate, and dark chocolate and mints filled my tummy to have one drink. Getting drunk is next week. I should be able to go in by myself, but I can't. Dang no. I feel sick to my stomach. I wish Stella were here. I can hear whistles from inside the club. What if homophobic ruffians decide to cause trouble? Does that happen here? If some girl tries to kiss me, would I? This is different from clubbing in Denver. There, I am anonymous. Here, I see people I know at almost every place I go. Eek. So many wounded people in this world. The things we humans do to each other. Why can't we let everyone be themselves? Report. Water and the spiel. Arissa arrived, and after hugs, we walked in. To the left, a girl and cute guy talked inside a small window. She asked for our ID, then waved us in. Pay the cover at the bar, she said. No hand stamp or hospital-style bracelet. How does she know who actually pays? She did not seem to care. What kind of club is this? My experience was admittedly sparse, but I was surprised. It was dimly lit, with a bar on our right. Our one bartender made drinks for an actual line, not people crowded together. This doesn't feel like they're prepping for a packed night like the website implied. To the left, and 2 steps down, was the dance floor, surrounded by a semicircle of empty red plush couches and backed by a 10-foot high black curtain, making it a stage too. I tried not to stare at 2 guys in only their underwear dancing on a too small platform on the stage. The dark walls and lighting felt like Tammy Faye's makeup. Scads more than too much, plastered over cheap. Let's get a drink, Arissa said. We were in line for only a couple of minutes when a cute, stocky guy in line behind us said, Arissa! Oh my God, Arissa said. Oh my God, he said. They hugged and Arissa introduced us, saying they had worked together 8 years before at a telemarketing company. Later, she said, he was one of the few people I could connect with. He was laugh a minute and his speech patterns were very obviously gay. If I met him elsewhere, would I know he's gay? Is it rude to assume people here are gay? So are you 2 here together? He asked, pointing from Arissa to me, one eyebrow arching. No, we said. My mind skittered back to my roommate's words my senior year in college. I won't tell you who, but someone asked me if you were bisexual. My mouth had dropped open in shock. I hardly knew the word bisexual. I know you're not, she said, but they thought because you haven't dated anyone these 4 years and wear sloppy clothes. I told them you were as close to an nymphomaniac as a straight person can get, but they wondered. And yes, Arissa said, bringing me back to the present, and I seconded with a yes. We came together, but we're not here together, I said. Okay, he said, cocking his head. Do you want to tell him why you're here? Arissa asked me. Sure, I said. So I told him about my project, and when I said sowing my wild oats, he went wild. Wild? He said, oh, honey, I can show you what. His neck and shoulders moved independently to emphasize this as he looked me up and down as if to assess my wildness. Really? I asked. Do I want to see what he considers to be wild? We were almost up to the bar when a well-dressed Hispanic-looking guy asked us if we could get him a glass of water for his sick friend. I could not pinpoint why, but it felt like he had asked us to do something illegal. His eyes wouldn't meet mine as his head swung back and forth. Illogical, but I hesitated. I don't want to stand in line for just a water, he said. Oh, that makes sense. The line was still very long. Dejeuner. Sure, I said. I tried to pay for our drinks, but Arissa fiercely insisted on buying. I handed the water to the guy and he asked, So are you 2 here together? Do I look like a lesbian? Do we look like we would be together? I looked at Arissa with new eyes, wondering, as she headed for the small tables around the dance floor. No, I said, I'm here for a book I'm writing. Might as well get that over with. Really? Cool, he said as his eyes scanned the place. I'm from the Springs, but I was gone a long time. Where did you go? I asked. I could tell he was not a local because his shirt was starched. The city, perhaps? New York, he said. Upstate? He sneered ever so slightly. Manhattan. Knew it. Oh, cool. I've always wanted to go there, I said. Why there? I was with him, my partner of 15 years, he said, finally meeting my eyes. Why did you come back? How nosy I find myself. Have you ever noticed how we all formulate a short, not too deep, just honest enough answer for huge life changes? We make a spiel. His was perfect. Brief, it set him apart as cool and gratified what small town people consider their advantages. I was just burnt out, he said. No, I don't know. Burnt out on what? I thought, why? I wanted to ask, but respected the space his spiel requested. Oh, yeah, I said instead. But why would a guy with a 15-year relationship leave Manhattan and his partner to come back to this little, un-gay-friendly city? I didn't ask, and we went down the steps to where Arissa had saved us a table 1 row from the dance floor. We watched the 2 guys dancing on top of the tiny platform. Wearing white boxer briefs, they seemed very young. Their dancing was little more than wiggling and jiggling, trying not to knock each other off. Not even really sexy. They moved as though fully clothed and dancing on a regular dance floor. Not succeeding, but not making a total fool of themselves. They looked hot, sure, but also dorky. Guys have a knack for that tightrope. One lone, clearly drunk girl stumbled onto the dance floor. She tried to dance, but instead she felt up the dancing boys, tucking $1 into their waistbands. So this isn't like the strip club where touching was forbidden. Why does she gross me out, but grinding didn't? Will I be pathetic when I'm drunk? But who am I to judge her fun? Damn, I'd like to be like that when I'm drunk. Why, oh why did I plan a bar crawl down the busiest street in town with people I know? Public humiliation. How can I change my plan so it's around total strangers I'll never see again? She groped them more, then jumped up on the platform and wedged in between them. Even as I disdained her, I wanted to cut loose like that. Had imagined grinding on a packed dance floor like the club's website showed, letting gay, straight, whomever smash themselves up against my body, even feeling me up, losing myself in the moment and the heat and the frenzy. I meant to immerse, but this place felt empty, and to dance on that empty floor would make me into a spectacle. I could act and sing, comfortable on a stage, but being a spectacle was quite another thing, pitiable, worthy of disdain, and who would choose that? The loud music made conversation impossible, and I wondered if everything here was sexualized. Does sipping our drinks, lip-sucking straws equate to sucking other things? The red couches filled with men and women sitting in each other's laps, laughing and kissing as though they had known each other for years. I knew I should go join them, tell them what I was doing, invoke the camaraderie of Project, and see what might happen. But I remained on the periphery again. And this time, I had no one to cajole me into immersion. Parentheses. Now, I knew it would have been rude to intrude, though I could have pulled it off. I only assumed my own weakness. The Glitter Show. Excuse me. Okay. After about half an hour, the mic screeched loud enough for a full house. And now, presenting Colorado Springs' one and only Glitter Show. A Celine Dion song swelled as the stage curtain parted. Introducing Colorado Springs Gay Pride 2007 Diva. She, which is proper speech, etiquette-wise, looked like a very well-preserved 42-year-old woman. Parentheses. That really was my first thought. Her silky top, short black skirt, and black fishnet stockings skimmed over her flat stomach, emphasizing toned, tan arms and legs. Those little hips sure aren't a woman's, Arissa said into my ear. It is the giveaway, isn't it? I said. But are those boobs real? I wondered the entire show. If they're not, how did she get them to look so real? I imagined whole factories devoted to producing the best fake breast. Did they have to make them specific to gender? Was the technology applicable for medical purposes too? Parentheses. Yes. She held a microphone, so I expected her to sing. But no, she was lip syncing. Pretty badly too. I mean, she lip-synced it dramatically and moved around well in her heels, kicking her calves every now and then to the music like the strippers had. Like something is stuck on the bottom of their shoe. Is it supposed to be sexy? I was confused. I was a singer and an actor trained to craft performance for the audience. But here, it seemed the point was the performer, not the audience, and felt more like an open mic. Arissa and I did not talk much, taking it all in. Parentheses. Reading this 9 years later, I see my confused disdain. And I disdain my disdain. I didn't understand the need to perform as one's true self. There had been so much discrimination and pain for the LGBT population in Colorado Springs for so long that the simple act of drag was still a defiant rebellion, revelatory for them. Next, the diva's wife took the stage dressed as a 16-year-old boy lip-syncing a torch song. Then a woman, pretty sure, made up like a Mexican bandito followed her, lip-syncing a hip-hop song. She sat the whole time. More followed in varying intensities of drag, walking the stage, lip-syncing, embracing those who gave them dollars. The DJ kept yelling, "Let's give it up for her, people. This is how they support themselves." What people? There's hardly anyone here. If this is how they support themselves, they're starving. I felt worried for them, but I also felt gypped. I wanted the name of Club Q's web designer because they were genius in making the glitter show look like a packed house every Friday night. The hair, makeup, and boobs were impressive, sure, but I didn't get it. If they think I should be impressed by the work it took them to look male or female, I am, sure. But my mom takes 2 hours to get ready, as do many women. She doesn't don fake boobs, but it is work for her. But if they think lip-syncing and walking around shaking your booty should earn my money and all, you've got to be kidding me. What am I missing here? These are great people, but I'm not getting it. I was trying to understand, but could not get over my expectation that this would be like the movies I had seen, Kinky Boots and Victor Victoria. I had expected the show to be an all-around performance, not lip-syncing. And all these divas did was show they knew how to look like women. Is it harder than I think? Memorize the words of a song. Who hasn't? And have the guts to get up on stage to lip-sync it. Admittedly difficult. It was much less than I had expected. Parentheses. And again, much more than I understood then. The bright spot of the night was the one drag queen who actually sang. Cher was tall and large, wearing jeans and a tent-like t-shirt. Only his face made up, no wig. Her full, rich voice nailed Ella Fitzgerald's Embraceable. She would have been stunning, the real star of the show, if she had dressed in drag. If you want wild, drink. Two couples came in and sat at a table close to us, drinking shots and laughing. This was clearly a double date. Then the two girls danced, grinding and pawing each other. Are they doing this for themselves or for their boyfriends or both? I had seen women act like this in movies, but these gals were in jeans and t-shirts, not dressed up. Ordinary, yet they're doing this. Does it extend beyond the dance floor? I went to the bathroom and found they had no doors on the outside or inside. A friend later told me why. Quote, when I went to Club Q a couple of years ago, it was packed. All night, guys asked me to go to the bathroom with them. I never accepted. Who knows what went on in there, he said. I asked Arissa's friend about the other front door. It was a men's club, separately owned. Separate entrance, separate rules. Men pay a yearly fee and then pay each time they come to the club, he said. What do they do over there that doesn't happen here? I asked. He raised his eyebrows. It's a men's club. Okay, I asked, still clueless. Like they have cute boys for them there. Like it's for married men and men who haven't come out. Oh, I said. That explains why the men who entered through that side door seemed furtive. Before leaving, Arissa and I went out on the back patio. The drag queens, minus their dresses and their boobs, were all smoking, as were our guy friends. So, what have you thought of tonight? Arissa's friend asked. They all looked at me. It's a little less crowded and wild than I thought it would be, I said. Ever the diplomat, Janae. Oh, honey, if you want wild, you need to come with me to a foam party, he said. Foam party? You dance and they drop foam from the ceiling all over the dance floor. Where? I asked. This happens in Colorado Springs? Every Wednesday night at Eden, he said, nodding. Who knew? But after the night's disappointment, I felt wary of believing the image he painted, a packed dance floor afloat in white bubbles. People actually go to this. Tons, he said. You have to wear all white. So it's like a wet t-shirt thing too? Oh my, I've never seen one of those. Yep, fun and foam and wet, he said, guffawing. I imagined my only white bra, a nursing bra, showing through a white t-shirt. Guess I won't be going. And I have to wear all white? People might wear a black bra and black panties, but over it is white, he said. My one sexy bra, a hot pink lacy thing I bought to go clubbing might work. I'll call you if that fits into my project. Thank you. Please do, he said. Parentheses. I never called him, but I wish I had. All in all, the night was a bust. No crowded dance floor, no seeing if I could dirty dance with a girl, no seeing if other girls would be attracted to me, no drag queen burlesque show. But I had fun hanging out with Arissa away from children and made friends with two nice guys. Parentheses. Last summer, my daughter, her boyfriend, and I marched in the Colorado Springs Pride Parade with a church group. We wore tutus and rainbow body art and danced through downtown, applauded by thousands. It was our first time in the parade, which has finally come into its own, culminating in a festival with music, booths, and performances. I remember the first parades, picketed by conservative protesters appalled at the gay people. I and my city have come a long way, baby. Journal. I've happened upon a community of new friends who know what I'm doing, and they approve and support it, and have been invaluable in learning and processing it all. I didn't expect this, but then I didn't expect to lose friends either. Life is strange. Owen says, later that week, I described the drunk dancing girl to Owen. I don't want to be like that when I'm drunk. I've found that only rarely do people lose all inhibitions, he said. People don't usually go as far as they think, even when really drunk. It takes way more alcohol than you're planning to drink. But the point of this of the task is to get exactly that plastered, I thought. He's not helping. What do you think I'll be like when I'm drunk? I asked, afraid of the answer. I think you'll be very concerned with how you're acting, he said. You'll keep asking everyone, have I done or said anything wrong? Sounds like it might be a good guess. We'll soon see. Journal. I don't feel ready to wean Leo. He's so small. He needs me. But at the same time, my milk isn't like it was with Percy. So much cream it took 3 days to separate. This time my milk seems weak, watery. I worry that it's my fault, that Leo isn't fattening up like Percy did. Of course, Percy was big from day one and Leo was not, but this logic doesn't stop my guilt. I'm weaning him early for my own project, not because I decided it was good for his health. Can I live with myself? So that's the end of that chapter. I'm going to go ahead and go on since that wasn't too long of one, and this is a kind of a short chapter and the next one is longer. So chapter 14, my belly, my body. No six-pack needed. Taut muscles undulating a stomach sea, jeweled belly button bobbing under seaweed fringe, erotic, exotic. Belly dancers seem everything men want and everything women want to be. Desirable, confident, sensual, quivering, flexible. I had seen belly dancing at a restaurant once. I squirmed. How Victorian we still are, nervous in the nearness of swaying hips, thighs, and the clicking of castanets, activating urges we attribute to primal. Though it seems to be for men, its origins in the harems of the Middle East, to me, the dancers held power over men, titillating without giving, promising but not beholden. This kind of sensuality seemed deeper and richer than the strip club. There, the point was to take off clothes. Here, the point was to make those watching want to take off the clothes. Before this summer, in the years of caretaking my children, I had lost my sense of how to move in social circles, how to converse, how to risk. Mothering young children is so often hyper-attentive risk avoidance. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Children require sustained, focused love and attention in their first years in order to become confident, secure people. Motherhood usually means submersion, at least for a while, and it felt completely worth it to subvert my desires to their needs. I'm glad I could give them that gift, but I did not know how to find balance, how to take care of myself, even in the midst of drowning. After a couple of years, my needs resurfaced. And just as I began to acknowledge their legitimacy and start thinking of myself a little, I got pregnant again. 3 times, I'd gotten pregnant after doing 2 things: auditioning for a play and saying I'd like to drink more wine. Will that happen after this project? I know mothers stuck in submersion. Why do many people think that in order to be a, quote, good mother, you must stay submerged, judging harshly those who swim free? Love and Logic says, how will your children know what it means to have a life if you don't have one? But to get one takes enormous effort. So often that new life is narrowly defined as completely separate from home life. But it doesn't have to be. With even a little support, moral and practical, having alone or social time is possible. Why can't we aim for a happy medium without judgment? Journal. I have no fear whatsoever about this, except, maybe, that I'll discover that I'm not as coordinated as I think. It would be like finding relief instead of sadness at parting with a friend who moved on, because they made things so bright that my eyes grew tired and limbs weary with the keeping up. I think I'm going to be good at this. And if I have to work at it as hard as others might, so what? I'm looking forward to learning something fun and sexy instead of being stressed and scared. When I listen to music, my hips move first. Princess Jasmine? No. The belly dancing instructor's website said midriff must be bare, hips scarf wrapped. So I braved the only place in town with belly dancing gear, the New Age store on the west side. Christians mentioned it with fearful revulsion for a place so evil, as if simply speaking the name made the devil stroll on in. I did not think everything in the store was true or right, but neither was it all evil. And they were so nice, with beautiful clothing and fairy things. I forgot I was supposed to be afraid for my soul. Rarely had my midriff been bare in front of anyone but family. I quailed at exposing my post-childbirth belly to the world and didn't want to make a big deal about it. So I planned to be all casual-like and wear my favorite teal polo and pull the bottom through the neck hole as an instant halter, a la grade school. As I paid for the coin scarf, I told the clerk and she laughed, saying, "Yeah, like when we did that, we were all like, I'm Princess Jasmine." Princess Jasmine? How old is she? 5? Unable to restrain myself, I said, "Actually, we pretended to be Dolly Parton." She laughed harder. My eyes narrowed. Damn her. "Must be a generational thing," she said, not meeting my eyes. I refused to feel old. But I remember Princess Jasmine from college. Bitch. I felt guilty even thinking the word. I felt her eyes as I left. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Report. My belly, my body. I met Arissa at Spring Salsa and Dance on the west side. Back in frontier days, the west side of Colorado Springs ended at Limit Street, where old Colorado City and its whorehouses and saloons began. Old Colorado City has retained this rebellious attitude. We might be shaking our hips in an upper room where other hips undulated 100 years ago. It was raining, so after a quick hug, we rushed to the studio door, up narrow stairs, colored sashes shimmering on the wall, begging to grace our hips. Arissa looked so cute in her lacy bra top. I could tell she was nervous, her smile as wide as her brown eyes. We share that attitude, to smile through discomfort. At the top of the stairs, one lovely wood practice floor was to our right, with a full wall of mirrors. The ladies sitting at the reception desk straight ahead were tan and lush fit. Lush fit. Not the cut and ripped fit. They had tummies, hips, and boobs. Some days, I hate buff people. We registered and went to change. I positioned my skirt to hide the jiggle of my baby belly. Then we found places among an 8-year-old girl with a fancier hip scarf than the instructor, a gangly woman in her 50s, a girl in her early 20s, and a couple of others. Our instructor glowed like creamed coffee. "For how many years of you is this your first time to belly dance?" she asked. Only Arissa and I raised our hands. "Your second time?" More raised hands. She huffed, clearly disappointed at not having more regular students. I stood with 3 others in the front row, closest to the mirrors, with Arissa at the end and another row behind us. Though we smiled and gestured at each other in the mirror, being across the room from Arissa made it feel like I was there alone. It was my own body and me. No one's help or input mattered except the instructors. A Zumba class pounded the air and ceiling from the space in a loft above us. I avoided looking at myself in a full-length mirror. It had gotten better after losing some weight via walking, but it was still uncomfortable. I look weird. The wonderful skirt looked awkward, grazing the floor, my white mother fat belly glaring below my makeshift halter. I was smiling, but it was the almost grimace my face makes when I'm uncomfortable or trying really hard. Parentheses. Huh, my father makes the same face. Crud. I breathed deeply, trying to relax. Why can't I just be? It was soon clear that my body was not talking to my mind. I wanted so badly to be beautiful like the instructor, to sway like her, to be lovely, and my hips refused. Most women compare their bodies to other women's bodies automatically. It can be positive, motivation to go walking or eat less sugar, but it's also discouraging. Like good and bad hair days, it depends on my day's inner atmosphere. Watching my body attempting to belly dance, especially when I knew I could dance in other ways, was confusing. Confidence that I could do this with practice warred with awe of the instructor's skill and beauty. She demonstrated, quote, basic moves, stringing them together to show us the whole picture. Envy and determination radiated from my classmates. I am entirely sick of watching my pale blob of a belly. Focus, Janae. Suddenly, about halfway through the class, I could feel new connections popping in my brain as my hips swayed in new ways. I felt like I was getting it, all in the knees and joints. Right, back, left, front. The instructor's belly button stud sparkled with every move, and her elaborate, coin-crusted hip scarf outjingled all others. She looked at herself in the mirror, evaluating, but clearly in love with how she looked, reminding me of a child pretending to be Barbie in the mirror. But though she was skilled, the passion I expected was missing. Her physical allure seemed to negate personality instead of increase it. Maybe she turns it on for an audience. Get down, let down. About halfway through the class, a loud pop exploded from an office in the loft directly above the dance floor. Arissa was getting a drink of water. Class stopped to sweep up the burst fluorescent bulb, but as we left, Arissa told me a piece of glass from the bulb had stuck in her foot, but she kept dancing. Did she not want to disappoint me by interrupting? I felt so bad about it, but also frustrated she'd said nothing. Perhaps the instructor's petulant bossiness had influenced her too. Why is it so difficult to pin down? It felt empty, almost time wasted except for seeing Arissa. The instructor's tone and gestures conveyed frustration and boredom when she showed us a basic move. An hour was not long enough to flex belly dancing's mental muscles, but she was not enthused that we were all new, often pleading, "Please come again." Only the movement itself came close to convincing me to come back. Arissa would be so much better an instructor. She'd be fun. I had a tough time with the mirror because my body isn't where I want it to be, Arissa said as we walked to our cars. I think it's more that your mind-body communication is rusty, I said, wanting to encourage her. I felt like it would be insensitive to tell her I'd felt the same way. Her words implied she thought of me as skinny because she was a little bigger, so I said the truth, but not my truth. I think, yes, that's it, she said. I saw a troupe dance in Manitou, and they were all sizes and shapes. This was pivotal for me tonight because I had to really look at my body for longer than usual. It showed me where I am and where I want to be. Me too, I said. It was so hard to look. My arms were tired and shaky as I drove home to hold my children. It had been much, much harder than I thought it would be. I would get it pretty quickly if I went back for more lessons, but how can I afford that? Parentheses. Now, I wish I had asked my mother to do this task with me. She would have loved belly dancing. She would have loved dancing with me. Journal. Do people with a, quote, exalted opinion of themselves see closer to the reality, while the rest of us wallow in a false humility, unwilling to own our own greatness? Might conceit be a more accurate understanding of our worth? Journal. From birth, we adapt to what's said about how we look. We unconsciously adopt facial expressions and physical habits that yield the best results, more love or care. Those with cute features instinctively reinforce the perception of cute because it yields approval and rewards. Do people see your face as sweet? Head tilts and covert glances will surely follow. More complex features yield less obvious habits, but perhaps attempts at complexity, mystery, intelligence, or belligerence bring piercing gazes and raised eyebrows. What do I do? All in pieces. 2 days later, packing for Jack's birthday trip to Denver, folding clothes and straightening for when my mom came to visit, I found one of Sage's school photos under our bed, precisely shredded in neat half-inch strips. She must have done it. She hates her image, herself, and have failed as her mother. Maybe her little brother cut it in a peak of bickering, but logic drowned in my sobs. The one thing I had wanted to preserve in my daughter, what I lost so early and could not seem to regain, a sense of worth and beauty, and it was already gone. How did I not see the signs? Percy watched a video in the living room while I wept in the bedroom, but it was still TV, and he was in there, and I was in here, and I always said I would never use TV as a babysitter. I am making a profound mess of my life. I'm not helping people, letting my kids watch too much TV, gone almost every night, and one quiet but persistent voice keeps saying, "You may actually do all these things. You may even write about them, but in the end, you're going to make a mess of it. You won't finish it, or you'll half-ass it like every other thing in your life. And you'll not just look like a fool, you'll be a fool." I could not stop crying. On top of it, maybe at the bottom of it, I was fighting a cold, exhausted, and dead sick of doing wild things. Except, even so, my body wants to dance again. I don't know who I am anymore, but I don't think I knew before this either. I folded clothes until I was calm and achieved nonchalance enough to ask Sage about the photos. I held the pieces in my hand like a wounded bird. "By the way, babe, do you know what this is all about?" Her face settled into determination to explain. For her, guilt. "I wanted to put our pictures in Nana's present for her," she said. "I cut off the edges so they would fit." What a monumental fool I am. In that instant, I recalled her asking to trim photos for a tiny fold-up album we got my mom for her birthday. I had told her no. "I told you I wanted to do that," I said. But I was so relieved she did not hate herself, I let it drop and hugged her. No secret self-hatred at age 7. It may sound ludicrous, but I hated how I looked by age 6. My thick glasses, bowl haircut, not the Dorothy Hamill cut I craved, thinking I was fat for as long as I can remember. My self-loathing had form and substance and insinuated itself even into motherhood. This must stop. I must change. I hugged her tighter. Journal. One thing I've noticed is how open I am now compared to before. Each task became a wedge in the door that has been nailed shut inside me for my whole life. My mind has been forced open. I now have friends who have never seemed to leave that free place. I want to be like them. And that's the end of chapter 14. tomorrow is, hang on. Oh, yeah. It is about astrology. Third time's a charm. So we are all the way up to chapter 15, which is crazy. I feel like the belly dancing was such a complex, like a surprisingly complex task. I can see myself being so critical, partly feeling like I had to be critical, like I was supposed to, analyze and not just feel. Excuse me, probably because I was writing a book, but still, yeah, I was stressed. You'll see more later about how much. So thank you again for joining me, and I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please do ask. I will do my best to respond, whether now or in the future. I think I'd like to do a question answer kind of live session, probably like half an hour before, like at 7 this week. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then in the description of this episode is the link to the YouTube playlist, which is up and it's current. It has everything except tonight's, and I upload those immediately. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you here again. Bye. Have a good night.